much agreed with that on the desk.
Gotcha.
A very different level of experience, completely different from Vax Crest. This is their debut Sandbox. They've been here before. Surely they can show us that they know how this group stage works.
Yeah, and we'll get into the outban phase, see what happens. I think this is a good ban for Sandbox to take down early on if Crest want to speed up their attacks. One of the go-to operators to do that intrinsically is the Ying, and it's the first operator Sandbox take down. It also is just very useful for making basement all that much more defensible. Crest will follow up with a ban of their own, though. What will they decide to take out on their attacking side? Maybe a hard breach here? No, instead an OSA. That's almost entirely designed, usually, when you think of the OSA on Oregon, around that meeting stage.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you go for OSA, you think about going for those more objective-based late-game strategies. And Crest actually taking that away from Sandbox, to me, is a really interesting read. They must have VOD reviewed them. They must have seen a particular strategy or a particular way that Sandbox like to attack this that they don't want to deal with. And what that means is, through the ban phase, so much is slipped through. All your hard breaches slip through. All of your anti-electrification is slip through, like your Thatchers, your Mavericks. All that kind of important stuff that enables the attack to get things done has actually been left in. It's only been those disruptor operators that have been taken out. To me, that points out the fact that these two guys have definitely VOD reviewed each other on this map. They know what's going on. And
for the defensive bans, I mean, you always have kind of the main four, right? Fenrir, Azami, Solus, Valkyrie. Two of those usually get taken out in each matchup, and if it's not, it's usually a target ban more often than not. In this case, the two that are taken out, Azami and Fenrir, those are the ones that make taking these gunfights, moving through these doorways, that much more difficult. If you're trying to go down Laundry Stairs or down Freezer, and it's too late on time, and F not in your way will completely mess your entire day up. Same with an Azami with those Kiba barriers, acting as deployable shields, helping the defense take gunfights around positions like Laundry or upstairs in the dorms area. Both of those operators being taken down should make Crest's ability to get into the bomb site, at least via like doorways and hallways, a lot easier. By the same token, all the hard breaches up, all the EMPs are up, but if Arakaze is good with those Electric Claw tricks and say there's a Hibana or a hard breach charge, Crest might still find some difficulty to open up key angles.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be looking for. Through the mid-round, do Crest actually win out on that micro game with the utility or not? And that's what's going to tell the tale of these rounds, especially here in Oregon. Interesting approach immediately from Crest. They've straight away brought out the Monty on the side of Lua, who's typically the ideas man of this roster. He's not the IGL, that's clear, but he does like to have an input on the strategy. Not more the strategy, but the tactics of the attack. Just a small idea that might make things a little bit easier, might expedite the process.
Monty's also a great operator for that. I mean, you're just standing there almost a human drone a lot of the time. You're looking at what the defense is doing, how they're reacting to you, how they're rotating around you. That's a great position for your ideas guy to be. I also like this from Crest. Sometimes if we see teams go for the full clear on Oregon, they really get stuck and end up spending too much time clearing out that top floor. 30 seconds in, Diope's already inside of the dorms. Lua also already inside a kitchen, looking at defenders outside a split. Of course, Whiskey goes down early on for opening up your basement defense, losing those smoke bolts. Gonna be a bit of an issue, and despite Crest's very quick pace to acquire this map control, it doesn't come for free. All that's done to Sandbox is a couple damage on a good boy, but Crest really came out the losers of that early round.
Yeah, and the danger of that early round was that they took down the capital of all these players going into the execute, right? You want those smoke bolts, you want the fire bolts to then go and enable that execute to happen once you try and translate it down into the basement. And without that utility in your hands, the only things you're relying on are a set of flashbangs and a set of grenades. And that can make this translation so much more difficult.
There's also only one set of hard breach charges. So if all those hatches are reinforced, which indeed, security, laundry, meeting, all those reinforced, once you open up those hatches, that is the take you need to dedicate yourself to.
Oh, and it gets tricked as well.
Oh, my lord.
That secondary hard breach charge has just been KE tricked by Arakaze on the other side, and that's really going to shut out this back take that Crest might be looking for. I think they can have to completely dedicate themselves to this front take now.
I mean, they have to. If the only thing they can get open is freezer hatch, that's the main way that Sireneko can use those frag grenades to throw them into the freezer hallway, into the long hallway as well, just on the opposite side of that wall. But the Warden is often really the big player on the defense right here who can punish the attack even further for pushing up the freezer hallway. If those nades want to land anywhere, it should be on that Warden, whether he's playing laundry or in this case playing the hallway. Eclair's crept down the laundry stairs, might just find an opening, but Arakaze is holding the fort inside of the small closet. First round goes the way of Sandbox, and everything from utility to kills on point for them.
Yeah, absolutely. From start to finish, the early game really going their way straight away. They got that first pick, but they didn't get overzealous with their roam game that they went for. The first thing they did was, okay, let's just full off. We've got the first pick. Our strategy is more leaning into that anchor type setup. They want to be able to trick the hatches, play that utility game, and that's what they went and fell back and were able to do. And then by the time that Crest actually hit that basement bomb site, there was nothing that they could do at all to put a dent into the defense.
So the fundamentals, very solid for Sandbox to start. K-tricking, holding angles, not pushing too far. It's exactly how you would hope a basement defense is played, but a lot of the times, we often treat those basement rounds as kind of a gimme, right? Like, unless we know a team is really good at attacking on Oregon, really good at attacking this bomb site with quick, fast executes, basement is always like, all right, the defense might get it, we'll probably get it. Let's look to dorms and meeting and see what the attack can really do, and this is a great time for Crest to bring back the momentum. To look, all right, Ying's off the board, sure, whatever, but if we just get control of, say, big window, get players outside the generator repeller, get control of white stairs, we can push on in. If we can get control of kitchen, get our nades from below, we can get and execute. Basement's one thing, but Crest still very much have a chance to even win the next two bomb sites.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Kids and dorms does tend to be the turning point of the round, right? It is one of those bomb sites that you think about it and it can be quite challenging to attack, but it's within the realm of possibility. When you think of the basement bomb site, you don't think about it in the same light, right? So here's Crest on their attempt at attacking the big tower. Now the danger they have to worry about here is if they want to go for that master and addict take, they do have to worry about Nova inside of big tower. It does look like they may have some awareness that there is a player there. It's just Whiskey on his lonesome on the other side of the map, but it doesn't look like this is where their main point of contest will be.
It's also good to have a rotate hole in the attic wall, so Nova realizing, all right, I don't need to make this play, I can back off, is able to retreat, but oh, that is a bummer for Crest right there. They'll be trying to sneak on in, get that first pick. Demic forced to fall back, and it's not completely flawless for Sandbox, as Mephi does fall as well, so it's an even trade. It is a 4v4. Now, Good Boy and Demic, both on reduced HP, but more specifically, Demic, as Good Boy is put back to full HP, the Aruni is all the way down below. So if Crest have control of these staircases, it's effectively a 4v3 on the bomb site, but they're going in for the kill. They know that this Aruni's all alone down here. Eyesight taken away. Flashbang lands. Good pinch from Crest. Able to now take the man advantage. Yeah,
really excellent here from Crest as they actually went in and cleared through the small tower. So not at all through Master or Attic, none of that default stuff, right? They wanted to clear all the way in from small tower, sweep across the map. They even identified where Demic fell off and then collapsed in on him. Now with a pretty heavy man advantage, 4 versus 3, and they've got Sireneko down below as well. If there's info on the site, they can then enable him to try and clear out one of those anchors with those up grenades from down below.
Even if one of the grenades misses, I mean, we've got 29 shots on Eclair's skeleton key at the moment. He could move into kitchen just by the Finka, and there you go. Opens up a key position, the rotate hole behind that bomb chassis that you see so many defenders play behind to stop a player from pushing up white stairs. That angle is now much more difficult to play, and that indicates Crest are gunning for a big window white take. They aren't concerned with the trophy side. They want this side to stake their claim.
Unfortunately, grenade not sinking, but like you said, it's a skeleton here that's going to tail the tail from the vertical below. Shots onto Nova, but he's actually able to res himself from the lines of death from down below, and with only 45 seconds left to go now, they are looking for that big window execute. Lua's going to go down, though. Nova with the swing, and it's going to put us on a 2-on-2. Kills somehow, though, going in the way of Sandbox. It's all Sireneko left to do.
No up nades either. They know this execute's coming from white stairs. Both guns will definitely be trained on that position, but oh no! A potential 1v1 slips away from the Finka. Nova able to take cover behind the other side of the floorboards. Arukazi so low, knows he's there. Good jiggle peek. 1v1 now, no more stims for Nova! Big 1v2 from Crest. Basement might fall the way of the defense, but Crest finally get their first attack.
And Sireneko has just had such a phenomenal stage 2. I know you don't watch a whole lot of Japan League, but this guy has seriously stepped it up.
Oh, I can
Stage
tell from that.
1, he was pretty quiet. Crest, they had a pretty tough run through all of this year, and even last year, they were always one BO3 away from qualifying into these international events. But really, this stage 2, Sireneko seriously stepped up, especially in the qualifiers. Some would argue that he was the player that actually pushed it over the line for Crest with these big performances that he's been able to put up.
Well, and how he played that 1v2 as well. I mean, sure, he misses the opportunity of the Doc playing next to the big window, but he knows what he has to do at this point. No, all right, I got to make a play. I decide to go white stairs. So what does he do? He doesn't just wide swing, doesn't just start getting anxious. He plays it very calmly, checks behind the bomb chassis, which is exactly where a defender should be playing, but exactly where Sireneko decides to aim. And then at that point, you have a 1v1, you got a wide swing at some point, and it ends up working out. So a very well played 1v2 by Sireneko to dismantle that crossfire held by Sandbox. Sandbox, but also, more importantly, their first attack on the board, and now Sandbox, of course, setting up a little bit of a roam down below because it's a meeting hall and a kitchen defense. This is a great time for Crest to build off that momentum they achieved last round.
Really interesting, actually, from Sandbox. I expected them to actually go for a repeat of that top floor. It didn't seem all that bad through that mid-round, especially as some of those gunfights started to come back out. But Sandbox going, nope, they have a number on that one. Let's go and change to do a tertiary bomb site instead. But this is Crest's attempt here at the tertiary attack. It seems like lobby is going to be the first point of contest. They want to put some of that pressure out of there, make sure that there are no defenders that can safely rotate in through this lobby position. If there's anyone playing inside of the garage, they want to catch them out. But there's Cyreneko with the first pick onto Good Boy, entering in from small tower.
Not a lot of utility lost on the side of Sandbox, but still a huge pickup from the Finka, who's really stepped up in the past 2 rounds. It gets an uncontested 5v4 for Crest. He'll be on that Nook. Didn't have a lot of success last round. He was the first one to go down, but he's taking control of Z again. The opposite side that Crest are pushing from. We've got both sides of this security hallway taken for the attack. Maybe even Lua looking to at least deal with that kitchen doorway. The bomb site we're talking about. You can't just walk in. Cyreneko moves upstairs. Do they have intel to know this player's playing inside of dorms? A lot of positions being set up by the attack, but no one making the move just yet.
They really look like they're posturing in for this mini execute here on the top floor. Cyreneko is so ready to get in on the fight with Whiskey here inside of the top floor. Whiskey's just hopped into pit. He's going to try and double down on the push. Meanwhile, on the ground floor, the Nook of all things is trying to put a thorn in the side of the remaining anchors and try and fix that cutoff in her hands. And it actually works out for Chiopi taking down Otakaze.
Excellent pickup. Now at this point, neither of the roamers upstairs are giving up. This could be the round win for Crest right here if they just take down these 2 players playing inside of dorms. Hatch normally open. Will Demic be able to retreat? Goes for the wraparound. Might just evade the eye line of the Finka, but Nova goes down as well. It's just Mephi upstairs. Demic upstairs, excuse me. Oh, spots one. Whiskey getting a little ahead of himself. Another one spotted by the Aruni, but the P10 Roni. This is only one engagement at a time, and he can't even transfer onto Cyreneko. Effie down below watched Arukaze die in front of him in the split doorway. Just sees Lua, missed opportunity over by Kitchen. Walks right into the
Really nice attack there from Crest. Simultaneous one, both on the top floor and the ground floor at the same time. Not only did they collapse in on all those positions inside of bunks and dorms, but at the same time they managed to somehow get lobby control, translate into Zulu control, and pinched out with small tower as well. It just didn't feel like Sandbox were quite present enough in the map to actually deny that entry from coming through. And as soon as Choppy was there and ready to play that disruptive role, they were really able to collapse in on those 2 positions simultaneously at the same time. All those gunfights were able to go down, and Crest, with what was a very explosive mid-round, were able to translate that one.
Now the basement defense loses a lot of the importance, a lot of the hype we gave it, right? Because the first round, everyone's going to start basement first. We're like, all right, what a terrible site to attack, right? But now Crest have those 2 wins. Now they have the ability, even if they drop this bomb site, to end this half up at a 4-2 scoreline. They're looking very good even if they end up dropping this. And still the pieces we've seen them putting together, specifically in that meeting round, the ability to take a lot of different positions and then form it into a cohesive whole that's really going to benefit them on this basement bomb site, especially if they can keep Whiskey alive by the end of the round. That's, of course, the smoke bolts and the fire bolts to help you execute, but also a second set of hard breach charges. Even if Lua's gets cated again, you have a lot more of a buffer to open up all of those hatches, whereas before with Whiskey going down, a lot easier to get cage tricked.
But Sandbox, they've really changed the philosophy going down into this basement bomb site. Yes, they are still looking to play that anchor-centric game, and they are still looking to play that fall-off and eventually come back, but there's no more cage on the board. So they're not going to lean themselves into that mid-game mini-game with the utility anymore. They're just putting all of their eggs on the late-game basket, leaning to the mirror, leaning to the clash, the smoke, and the Goyo in tandem to put in that zone denial for the entries as the execute comes through. It's all going to be about the late game for Sandbox.
Specifically for Amonti as well, those smokes, those C4s, even the clash to a certain extent. All of that can answer the attack's constant presence with someone looking at the defensive setup, relaying enemy positions and rotations on that side of the map to the rest of the team. They've countered it. They know where the Monty's pushing from, and Nova can effectively push him back by this very means. Of course, Clash is a little bit easier to deal with than a Monty, just one explosive or a Zofia concussion, for example. Not on the board, but still. can very well deal with that clash, whereas Monty's a bit more difficult of a beast, but they know it. They're accounting for it. Deal with it later.
That being said, though, because Nova is on those rear stairs, he has forced Lua to then fall off that position. Of course, when a Monty and a Clash face head-to-head, the Clash is going to win, right? Because the Clash can go and zap the Monty behind his own shield, and he's got to fall off. So Lua realizing, okay, this is not the point that we want to contest, is actually going to shift his focus over in towards that freezer side instead. We can see the rest of Crest now posturing through that mid-round, deciding what the best point of entry is going to be down into the basement. Where is the path of least resistance? Can they identify it? And with that Monty in hand, can they then spearhead the push? That's going to be the question.
Ultimately, it comes down to clearing out that utility as well. I mean, we just saw the Twitch popping those Goyos. Dealing with as much of that utility that burns time in the last minute of the round is going to go a long way for Crest. The smoke's going to be in Good Boy's pocket. Unless he uses them early, you're just going to have to account for that. But if you can pop as many of those Goyos as you can, or plant those firebolts later on to create another opening, that's what Crest are looking for. But we're starting to get low on time, getting to the point where, even though it's basement, you got to start making a move.
Yeah, it does look like they are posturing in for this back take as well. Lua to spearhead the push, and that double bunker is going to be open now, telegraphing exactly what they're doing. But with only 40 seconds left to go, they have to press the attack.
And bunker shield players still up as well. Drop down the hatch. Cyrenaica walking right into the Clash and the Goyo. Easy pickings for the defense. Whiskey does find one, though. Mephi goes down, but that's case dropped right in front of 3 different members of the defense. Crest do have the man advantage, though. They've got the 4v4. Multiple players on low HP. Whiskey now going down as Nova's constant intel helping inform Demic's peaks. But Crest are holding on. Just barely. No diffuser, but time to go for these kills as it's only one gun up technically. Demic certainly can frag, though. Made the 2v2, wrapped around Chilpies. No idea where they're playing. And Nova switches off the shield to finish out the second defensive win for Sandbox.
Yeah, unfortunately for Crest, just leaving it that little bit too late to then translate that push down into the basement. They really wanted to funnel their way in through that rear side of the map, but they were actually immediately met by the info of Nova on the other side. And we could see as soon as that info came out on the diffuser on the ground, suddenly, like, wham, there are 3 defense inside of that line of sight. We could see in that beautiful free cam that was coming through for Sandbox, and they just knew exactly what was going on within seconds left of the round. And at that point, it was too late for Crest. They were just funneling their way in through the belly of the beast, and they couldn't translate that one.
But how the half ends could very well hinge on this round. Sandbox have got their 2 basement defenses. That site's done. It's locked away. Can't go back to it again. But Dorms ultimately came down to a Cyrenaica 1v2. This is where it could be the difference between a 4-2 for Crest or a 3-3 for Sandbox, depending on how the tertiary bomb site goes, or even if they decide to go to it, if they end up losing Dorms a second time. Of course, we did see some changes between the 2 basement attacks, and right here, I don't think we saw an Oryx last time from Good Boy, but it's still all focused on a lot of the basics, right? You've got the hard breach denial in case they go for maybe a trophy or an attic push. You've got the Aruni gates, of course, the Warden to give you that long angle watching the white stairs if you want to play behind the bomb chassis. Sandbox have a lot of different utility, a lot of different operators to deal with whatever Crest decide to go for.
I mean, to me, this is a very different approach to the same bomb site compared to what they went for before. Like last time, Sandbox, they played this super conservative game. They all fell back onto the bomb site, and then they got picked apart through the vertical, and it was really tough after that. This time, they've created all these lines of sight down in the ground floor, through meeting, into classroom, because they're anticipating that ground floor push to come through before it then becomes a push into the bomb site. And that's what they're going to put their first point of resistance towards.
And for Crest, it looks like that very well might be the case. The addition of a thermite. I mean, you don't really see a thermite for a big window white stairs take. You usually see it when you are looking to maybe clear utility down below, move in through classroom, destroy those electroclaws in the trophy wall, and then pinch the defense from trophy and from attic. Lua's not over in classroom, though. He's over inside of meeting and has found 2 kills on the opposite side of the wall. Despite the addition of the vertical angles, Sandbox getting picked apart every gunfight they take. Nova still playing aggressive, has found one down below. The very player who completely dismantled the defense. But it's all for naught. No 1v2 necessary for Cyrenaica, as his 1 kill in this round has put Arukaze as the sole tenant of the upstairs bomb site left alive.
Crest knew exactly what they had to do there. They had such a good read on the Sandbox defense, knowing that even though meeting was where they were all situated, all they needed to go was go for a 3 or 4-man push, inject Lua inside the building, and that's where he found a success. It's all on Arukaze left to do in the 1 versus 4. He can go for the swing out onto Choppy and take him down low, but not out just yet. And Drone will spot him out, but he's going to fall back. And, well, he's got a couple goo mines to at least telegraph what's going on. But when there are 4 players of Crest, surely this isn't doable.
I mean, look at Crest right now. I mean, Cyrenaica gets gets the kill from the very spot he clutched that 1v2 a few rounds ago. But even in the 4v1, you'd think, you know, maybe you're just now encountering Crest, you're not as familiar with them as, say, a G2 or an NIP or a Dark Zero. You think, all right, maybe they start swinging, maybe they start throwing away a couple bodies, taking a necessary 1v1s, but what do we see? A pause. The Buck doesn't peek the Legion, he's just holding an angle inside of the bedroom, but what do? They're still opening up master bedroom wall. They're still getting their angles, rotating someone on white stairs. They're treating that like it's a 4v4 or a 4v3 and not wide swinging like it's a 1v1. Crest have been remarkably disciplined so far. You mentioned a methodical game that they play, that they're not just running around, running a lot of crazy strats, but the fundamentals are extremely solid for Crest so far, and it's got them at least an even half on a map that very often goes to the defense.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Crest, they know how to dial it back. They know how to respect their opponent. I mean, they've been in Japan League for so long, but just on the brink of success. And when you've been in that position so many times, there is no such thing in your vocabulary as throwing, swinging, oh, we're in the man advantage, let's just go for it, right? That's not who Crest are. That's not their identity. They know how to respect their opponents because they've been number 3, number 2 so many times. And even against Sandbox, and especially against Sandbox, a team that has been here so many times, that's what you have to do.
Gotta say, I do like the lineup coming into this last round, though. As Sandbox make a difficult decision, do they go back to meeting, which they only lost once, or retry dorms, which is now their 3rd attempt at this bomb site in Crest, just as round 1 was a new approach. Round 2, new approach, or at least attempt to, for the dorms bomb site. Attempt number 3, different approach. We have the addition of the Grim and the Amaru. Usually, when you see that Amaru on Oregon, you think, okay, maybe he's going to fly into big tower, you know, take some early control on that part of the map. But on dorms, lot more options, and with Grim as well. This being one of his more popular maps, at least in North America, lot of different ideas that Crest have to go for.
Yeah, and that's a Lua classic as well. Like, he's the one on this team that is going to be bringing those ideas, and you just know with the Grim in his hands that he's going to be having a good time. He's going to try and initiate Eclair, who's on the Amaru, the IGL, he's going to make his way in.
He flies on in. There's one just to his right, though. Is he going to react? He's got the bunk bed to hide behind, and Eclair doesn't account for it. Case now dropped cold inside of dorms, but it's still Tiopi able to find our Kaze. Nova tries to revive himself, but Whiskey shuts it down. It still favors Sandbox, though. Maybe not in man advantage, but they've got Diffuser in their line of sight. Remember how they all consolidated, coalesced around that Diffuser. Once it fell inside a basement, they all start to swing. They've still got that case in their hands. Sireneko goes for the peak, but a good flick by Mephi makes it a 2v1. Whiskey has to push up some different position, in this case Attic, but he stopped. Put to 1 HP, trying desperately to find an angle onto Mephi, and it simply doesn't work out. A new attempt by Crest, but unfortunately, just a 3v3. No lead for either team going into the side swap.
A valiant effort, though, from Crest to change up the pace in the final round into Sandbox, but they were ready for it. The mid-round trades really going in the way of Sandbox. You could see that even though it was so chaotic through that mid-round, they were still somehow able to coordinate like 1 versus 2s and like going for double swings and that. We saw Lua at the bottom of white stairs, and yes, he was able to take out that first player going in for the flank, but then immediately the trade comes through. And amidst all that chaos, it can be quite challenging to stay coordinated and actually go for those double swings and make sure you're supporting your teammates. But Sandbox showed that they can still hold strong.
Well, Crest certainly had a lot of really good rounds on that Oregon attacking side, and Sandbox looking to do the very same. I have to imagine, of course, attacker repick, they might change things up, but I have to imagine operators like the Capitao or the Monty, maybe not together, but some of that selection of kind of an off operator from the standard 5 or 6 is going to be a factor on this basement bomb site, especially with that Ying gone. Teams love bringing the Monty to sort of force control down one of those stairways or bring the Capitao to bring those smoke bolts. So I don't think Sandbox lineup in terms of the presence of those operators will differ all that much from Crest. But we know that they like to favor, at least initially, the freezer side and then rotated to the backside once things started to go poorly. Here, I'm interested to see where Sandbox decided to start. They're clear going into the first round.
Right, and for Crest, it doesn't really feel like they're doing a whole lot different in terms of the defense compared to Sandbox. It's not like they're looking for this extended roam or anything. They really are leaning into the late game as well with their lineup. They are leaning into actually playing the Cade for the trick game in the mid round and also the mirrors for the late round as well. So nothing too different, nothing too crazy coming out from Crest. But here's Sandbox's attempt at the attack. It does seem like it's going to be a top-down clear. Mephi being the first point of contest in the building as he entries in through Master.
Mentioned earlier, of course, when going for this top-down clear on Oregon, you could sometimes get a bit too bogged down in dorms. We check too many corners, get a bit too nervous. That can end up burning some important time. Eclair reading it as well, knowing that he might just get away with the C4 on those laundry stairs, depending on where Sandbox is playing. Will a minute in after the E1D from the attack retreat down those back tower stairs. remember Crest, when they were clearing out this top floor, I mean, they were already in the building at this point, right? They ended up losing the round, but a lot slower from Sandbox.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Crest at this point and thinking, okay, we don't want to play the game where we sit there and we get picked off. It is a basement defense. It is very valid to have all 5 people back on the bomb site. There are so many good power positions. They're actually going to fall off early. But despite giving so much real estate, they are still going to fall back. And Sandbox are going to take so much time to do this. Near trick from the Electro Claw, but doesn't actually quite land onto the freezer hatch. Instead, Eclair's going to pick that one back up and try and turn his attention in towards the backside hatch instead.
Ah, that really could have been a big play for Eclair right there, playing that mid-round utility. He destroys that hard breach charge. That's another 20-30 seconds of what has already been a slow attack for Sandbox, but now all the hatches opening up, going the attack's way, and despite the long time taken on the top floor clear, they have so much utility to help make this execute work on the bottom floor. Rotero drones to clear out positions or utility, Capital bolts to block angles or remove defenders from power positions, the Monty to constantly push the defense, keep them off guard, make them move off balance. With all 5 players on the bomb site and still 5 drones up for Sandbox, there's a lot of time and a lot of opportunities to find these positions.
Yeah, and the difference here as well, I think that drone going through into that basement bomb site did just identify, okay, there's actually no Goyo, right? So there's nothing that Rotero really has to clear, except for one shield if they want to go in for a bunker take, right? So they're thinking, we can actually walk our way on in now. If Autokaze can actually initiate his teammates in, they can go for it.
He's got to be careful with this mirror, though. It's still very much up on that small closet. Methy also able to start things off right with the kill on Tiopi. Good pre-fire by Lua, though. The Capitao is a little too reckless with his life, but as he tries to find the angle in Freezer, he's cut down. It's a 2v2, though. Only one gun up alive at the moment. The Monty unshields. Sireneko trying his best not to fall. Oh, misses some key shots. But a big rotation from Whiskey to save the life of the mirror on what was very much a botched engagement. Flash is left up. They know one player's playing on the laundry machine. Both caught without their gun in their hands. But Demek's able to come away the victor. But no time, no intel, no first round victory for Sandbox.
Yeah, and a good try, though, for Sandbox going in down into that basement. They almost made it work off the back of that Capital. A couple flashbangs to be sent in. They almost were able to initiate that entry to come through as Mephi was able to get that first pick, but they still couldn't convert it after that really nice crossfire from Whiskey and the Mirror player himself to actually be able to shut down that push was all that Crest needed.
Was all they needed. And a very good start for Crest, able to win that basement bomb site just as Sandbox were able to later on. If they can get a win on Dorms, the 3rd place team coming in from Japan, very well, at least by the community standards, land our 2nd upset of the group after Geek's victory over NIP earlier. Valkyrie up, by the way. Have not seen her that much in the game so far. We mentioned at the top of the game that she was unbanned, so her bans were Azami and Fenrir, but Sandbox certainly not too keen to run her, it seemed, on their defenses. And Crest, 2nd round in, took a round to get used to it, but dropped the mirror, bring a Valkyrie instead.
Could be well read as well with the lineup that Sandbox are bringing. They are leaning into that Thatcher Thermite combo, the dynamic duo. Can you name any more iconic one?
I live
and you cannot. And Sireneko has actually brought along the Valkyrie to then go and see exactly the timing of when they're going to go in for that hard breach. It can be quite dangerous to put an exothermic charge on the wall closet, even going into attic and that type of thing, when you've got a Valkyrie camera staring you in the face and a C4 blows. Actually, he's not running the C4s at all. He's running impacts, but Tiopi has a C4 if he chooses to roam down below.
Yeah, that makes getting Classroom control, even if Tiopi doesn't end up immediately playing Classroom, it just makes it all that much more of a concern for the attack, that they need to have somebody watching it, make sure they can't or don't die to a C4 from below. Crest overall, though, is one player playing over by Big Tower. That was Lua going for a big run out, but quickly finished off by Autokaze. With a heat check for Crest right there. Lua learning the better of it. Oh, but a nice little reaction play by Whiskey. Costs almost all of his HP, but Autokaze just sends it into Armory and ends up becoming fodder for the M14 from Crest defense. Cost a lot of HP, of course, but that trophy position, albeit barely, still alive for the defense.
Yeah, well read as well from Whiskey. Great timing on the swing that was coming through into Armory. Just such amazing game sense. I think, especially in like a high-pressure environment like this, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to try and go for something like that, but Whiskey playing his position well. Now the danger that they have to face here is that rotation hole going inside of Closet. Not only is it then enabling the defense to go and inject a shotgun into there, that's choppy, but it also means that if they don't have their eyes on it, the attack can can walk on in, and it does seem like that's what they're trying to do here.
But Whiskey also being the player to take that gunfight, he fell off the trophy position and made it so easy for Sandbox to clear. So not only does he die, but the trophy shield now gone, and we just hit half the round to go. Sandbox might have lost our Kaze, but by getting the kill onto Whiskey, by getting this control, they have made so much progress on this side of the map, and if they can add another dimension to it, bring Attic into the play, as they still have both of Nova's exothermics in pocket, there is so much potential for this attack from Sandbox, and they're all doing it up a body.
They might not have enough time though. There's only a minute left to go, and really it's all going to be a funnel in through this master side of the building. It's going to be in through Trophy, in through that closet breach. We can see all 4 players the attack. Very claustrophobic here, but it looks like they're going to go for it.
One shotgun gets the kill, Demet cut down. He's going to have to do so much work on this choke point. Sireneko does catch the back of one, but all the kills fly Sandbox's way. Does see another player. Nova on 1 HP with the diffuser. Oh, if Sireneko had another impact or could just find the angle, maybe he'd find the kill. But it all flies Sandbox's way on a flood in through the trophy doorway. We're back to even.
Yeah, brute forcing is what they needed. The medicine that they needed to stem the bleeding there in that round. Even though the mid-round, the early to mid-round was pretty dicey for both these teams. The trades went back and forth. Eventually, Sandbox knew that the win condition was just to go for it. It can be quite challenging to get the bomb down, especially on this bomb site. You need to go in deep if you want to go and play that objective. And all 4 players were dedicated to that cause, and they just went for it.
A good recovery from Sandbox. We might have another, if this keeps the pace, we might have another overtime game over on the B stream. And of course, I believe the game over on the main stream just got underway. I can hear Tim and Parker talking a lot of nonsense behind me.
Tim and Parker, hey, what a duo.
Dark Zero Knights, round 1.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
exciting.
casted Knights.
Oh, it's good.
I've just been informed that they are casting labs. I was under the impression by my contract that I had a monopoly on that map.
Oh, really?
And gonna have some harsh
Well, I mean,
words.
your region was the region that played the most labs.
It was
by a long way.
kind of absurd.
Yeah.
We had like 6 or 7 Nighthaven plays in like the first 3 weeks.
Insane.
But honestly, I'd rather have that than 6 or 7 consulates would have got a little quick. But Nighthaven's fun. I like Nighthaven. It's a big, expansive map, but consulate, a bit more like Oregon. A bit restrictive. Not a lot of things you can do on the attack. Though here, Dorms has certainly been pretty attacker-sided. I think only 1 defensive win going, or at least winning Dorms so far in this matchup, or at least not a whole lot for the defense. I think we can agree on that. But here, Crest will try it again. Crest will try again to get a win on that defensive side as they have moved down to the first floor. Just give another attempt to winning this. Do you have a Sireneko all the way away from the bomb site, though, on the Solus?
Yeah, he does have a read that perhaps lobby control is going to be the first point of contest for the attack, as it tends to be on this type of bomb site. You do immediately want to open up that lobby double, see if you can get that control inside of Garage to then prevent any of the defenders from safely rotating in and actually being able to contest meetings, split and that type of thing from there, right? So Sireneko wanting to play that early game, making sure that no one is there. They will be able to see any of those clutch zones that are going in, but it's actually Mephi all the way from Big Tower on the other side of the map to get the first pick onto a clear.
These, I mean, 2 rounds in a row now, those isolated players who are going for aggressive play, specifically around Big Tower, both times have just been shut down by Sandbox within the first minute of the round. And when you go for those kinds of plays, you better hope they work out, because there's not a lot of opportunities for your team to trade. And Lua last round, and Eclair this one, they've gone for it, and Sandbox have very, very quickly shut that down before it can become a problem. Sireneko still playing inside of Armory, will just now back off to that top floor, as it's not a hardcore defensive setup up here, right? It's very loose. He's just meant to roam around, find intel where he can, but they're not hard-holding inside of dorms. Meanwhile, the rest of Sandbox aren't concerned about the top floor really at all. They're gunning for, seemingly at the moment, a stage-sided play, and all they need to worry about is the attic position.
Yeah, see, this is where the Ossa ban from Crest actually is a really good idea, right? That this seems to be the one attack that Sandbox love to do on this bomb site, and that is just to go in through the double breach inside of meeting and get that plant down. But with the Ossa, with the absence of the Ossa, it's making it significantly more difficult to do. Now, Lua, off the back of the info given by Sireneko, is going to re-aggress inside of the garage. They really want to isolate this one attacker outside the lobby.
They know they can work a pick right here. They know if it pans out, they can make this a 4v4. Meanwhile, the rest of Crest utility all gunned, aimed right at that stage side, but Lua almost walking away. A quick reaction, a quick re-peek. Down goes Good Boy inside a garage. The rest of Sandbox, the entirety of the attack, all built for this stage play, but there's nothing on that side of the map. No more pressure on main lobby to release some of that pressure, release some of that steam. All the utility is stopping Arukaze from pushing forward. They've got one player up above, Nova, who can watch through that hatch, but the bullets are all colliding into Arukaze, whittled down second by second, and finally he's finished off. Demic finds one though. Lua traded out. That's the player who dealt with the Monty, but a huge read by Mephi stops the flank from back tower. Siren Echo's retaken up top, but he's shut down soon after. He gets the big play though. He's put Demic low. Whiskey's on full HP, no smoke canisters, but does he have the time? He's got to force Demic off, but he's too far away. The Flores sticks. He's got the gun up. He's watching the hallway. He does not have the kill. Whiskey in the 1v1 takes the lead back for Crest on the defuse.
And what a genius ban there by Crest. Taking out the Ossa, knowing that that was the one attack they were going to go for, knowing they could isolate that play outside the lobby because there was only going to be Good Boy there, and ROK's being forced to rely on that backwards shield Monty plan. That's not going to work because your butt's sticking out the bottom of the shield, right? And he got shot down trying to do that exact thing. Really well read there from Crest.
And ultimately, the Ossa ban obviously impactful, but really the ability to take down that player on the main lobby side, because everyone else from Sandbox is over by stage. They were so much relying on Good Boy to push in through split, find an angle on a defender rotating around there, and make it a bit easier of a situation for Sandbox to deal with, especially if they could find Lua on that very position. That was the player who ended up dealing with the Monty, but huge heads-up play by the Wamai. Takes him down, and Crest now retaking the lead again, but this has been an extremely close game so far. Basement as well, sure, it ended up going the way of Crest. But if a few pieces of utility are in different positions, or maybe if they deal with that mirror window a little quicker, there's a winnable round for Sandbox in that previous attack.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Every single round seems to count here, and it doesn't matter what bomb side it seems to be. Well, okay, the basement seems to be an exception of that. So far, it seems to be pretty defender-sided, but it doesn't seem to matter what bomb side it is. Every round seems to come down to the wire.
The attack's gotta
somehow it does. And this is Sandbox's opportunity to try and even up the scoreline with some good ideas. I like the read of bringing in the Twitch, seeing that the Goy is being brought by Siren Echo, seeing that they're leaning once again into that anchor-centric type setup and strategy. I think this is really good from Sandbox. Surely they can expedite this process.
You got to make sure those Twitch drones get in, though. Always the difficult thing, especially on basement. You could see a Twitch drone coming a mile away from one of those staircases. You really got to be sneaky with it. But if it lands, if you can pop one of those mirrors, pop a few of those Goyos, that is so much more time for you to work with, at least potential time for you to work with on that attack. Sandbox probing a lot of different areas right now. Some presence over by Classroom, some eyes over towards the main lobby, some over towards Small Tower. But there is certainly some players from Crest still close to those stairways, but remember before, they rotate back very quickly within that minute.
And this is what worries me a little bit about Sandbox, right? They played such a cautious game. Okay, that being said, fair enough. It's Siren Echo all alone here inside the kitchen. He doesn't really have a way to fall back yet, but he's just impacted the wall for a rotation out, but it doesn't seem to matter. He wants to take the fight anyway and will go down to Good Boy. So Sandbox now in the man advantage as they go in through this mid-round.
And we see the potential, right, if Siren Echo does get that kill.
Here?
Oh, hold up. I'm going to put that point aside. TOP looking to push up the top floor, but Mephi, putting down the breach charge. Does he know? Does he know? No, he does not! TOP sitting in the corner. I'd be losing my mind if I'm Mephi. Why is there a Wamai there? Well, doesn't really matter right now, because the only issue, TOP's now cut off the rest of the defense. They've taken back tower control. Yeah,
and now he's got the meeting hatch control in his hands as well. There's no one on the top floor to try to shut him out, but there goes Arokaze onto Lua, trying to support his teammate, but Choppy's able to take the duel onto the player on backstairs. That's Demic going down. Now the Monty, a pretty pesky fight with Nova on the other side, but really the only gun left in the server for Sandbox is Good Boy, and here he comes up the tower stairs.
I mean, we hyped up the utility, we hyped up the Twitch drone. It's all been the guns in round 10. The Montaigne unshields, puts him down to low HP. Finally, this chaotic mid-round comes to an end. But Good Boy's down his Twitch drones. He still has some out in the moment. He's put both of them out. But it might not matter at this point. Can you pop those Goyos? Sure. That's the time remaining. But Whiskey's got both of those toxic canisters, and Eclair has that C4 remaining. You only have one actual gun left alive, as once Nova goes for the plant, Good Boy is the only coverage Sandbox have.
Really tough situation now for Sandbox, and so Good Boy is going to sit back with that DMR 1.5x in hand. You don't want to take these close engagements, bait out that utility, see if they can throw out any more of those smoke grenades, get that C4 out. Two of them have gone now. It's all onto Eclair, and the C4's been wasted as well. This is so possible now for Sandbox.
All the utility's gone, but the Monty's pushed very far up. He's not punished for it. He backs off. He's given the intel to Good Boy on where these two remaining defenders are, but the coverage has to be perfect. It has to be on point. He's distracted by the bunker player, but somebody walks up close. Nova just saves his life for a second, but a huge rotation from Crest forces Good Boy to look away while the other defender takes down the defenseless Monty.
Yeah, and so well played from the two remaining players of Crest as well. They were in the sort of advantage there with the guns in their hands. I think once you have that DMR in the hands and the Monty, it's pretty hard to play close quarters at that point, right? It was very situational for Sandbox, but seriously, they played that 2 versus 2 so well. It really could have gone either way there. They baited out all that utility from Crest, but even then Crest went, well, we may have missed everything, so now we need to shoot them. And they went for it, and they were able to win that one out. Sometimes brute forcing and getting your gun up is what you need.
And it's that communication, that coordination for Crest that has been so on point so far. That's gotten them ahead of Sandbox. For Sandbox, they haven't been playing poorly, I'd say. You know, generally the strategies are all right. They're pushing, they're holding positions. But Crest, those 2v2s, those 1v1s, or even 1v2s in some cases, they have been so perfectly played by Crest in every single iteration. Sireneko on white stairs at the beginning all the way to now with that 2v2, knowing if there's only one gun on the board covering the planter, we just need to distract them for long enough to let us rotate around and put the case on the floor, stop the defuse from happening, and that's the exact decision they made. Now they're on match point. Sure, you can't defend basement anymore, but just to win on dorms, or even on meeting like they did previously, they've got the first game.
They can do it. And I think that all the preparation going into this game is seriously starting to come to light for Crest. They seriously have Sandbox's number on their attacks, especially now that Crest have moved into this defense. It just feels like they're meeting Sandbox at every step of the way. I mean, what was that last round? That was crazy, right? That was crazy.
That one.
I do not know how to go break that one down, right? It just felt like Crest were like, yeah, look, we have all those operators to play later in the game, but we could just double retake up the B tower.
TLB's like, hey guys, listen. So I know we just lost Sireneko inside a kitchen. However, I'm currently in big tower, and I think I'm going to sit here for a bit. So if you guys can hold it down on the bomb site, that'd be great. And then for some reason, he's like, you know, maybe some breach charges the wall and I get a kill. Like,
How do you know that?
I would never think that play would work. I mean,
How do you know that?
He might have known, and if he did, hats off to you. Good job. I don't even think he knew. I was like, you know what? 4v5, I'm gonna make a play.
Yeah, honestly, just go for it. I don't know. I feel like Crest, they must have a pretty good understanding of what Sandbox are probably going to do, right? I mean, like, something about their clears, they must know something that we don't.
Especially when, I mean, this game really has just been Crest outplaying Sandbox, a team that's been performing okay, but Crest, the individual decision-making, the OSA ban at the beginning, the reactions to plays in the round, the understanding of these situations, Crest have just been so on point with all of it. And now on dorms, again, do have some players down below, and this was where Crest did struggle a little bit in that previous round.
There are quite a few players down below. It's not just a player inside of meeting, but there's even one inside of kitchen. But oh, never mind. Lua gets taken down, beheaded by Mephi immediately.
I mean, okay, we are starting to repeat the sins of the previous Dorms defenses, though. I mean, that's 2 times in a row on this bomb site. Lua is caught. This time, at least, hey, inside of the building this time, but still caught taking an aggressive peek against Sandbox early on. Crest have a lot of contingencies planned, of course, that line up from Sireneko just being one of them, but there's still Eclair down below. This is a 5v3 if you're looking at the site players versus the attack.
But do they know? That's the real question. Do they know that in this condition they could potentially go for a flood if they're quick enough about it? I don't know if they do. Nova now making his way in is going to be hit by that goo miner. That's going to telegraph the fact that, yes, they have, in fact, got master control now, and they are going to start to work this wall. It's going to mean that Choppy needs to rotate in with some of those impacts, but it doesn't matter. Choppy's going to go for the aggressive play anyway, retaking himself inside of Trophy, now taking the duel into the player and closet, but it doesn't matter. Mephi's there for the trade anyway. But still, 4-on-2 advantage for Sandbox. We've seen them flood this one before in the man advantage, and surely they can do it again.
I mean, with a 4v2, you'd sure hope they can do it. I mean, 1 minute, 15 seconds to go as well. They can even reset for a little bit. Take this 30 seconds to open up the bedroom wall, open up a lot of these different angles. Sireneko is able to get aggressive, able to find one. Demic also on a bit of reduced HP as he's fishing for some nades from below. Another one goes out, doesn't find anything. He's safe by the big tower, but Sireneko, he's found another. Knows someone's going to push up white stairs. Oh, just spots the pre-fire. Mephi goes down! It's all over! 7-4 from Crest. The man can just do it all on attack or defense. You do not want to peek Sireneko on dorms.
Yeah, and the superhero here for Crest in Stage 2 steps up at the Atlantis